Welcome back to Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. We'll dive right into the newspaper review, and as always we start with the weekend trust. Boldly written here is how foods harm you. You know, there's a breakdown of food addictives impact, you know, the breakdown, and lots of foods written down here, and the impact that food gives to your body, the nourishment and what have you. Well, you can see the rest of this breakdown and, you know, see more of this headline in page 4 of the Weekend Trust. Right below the food breakdown is investigation. Journalist secures 2 jobs with Oluwole certificates. The Oluwole is a bustling enclave on Lagos island, infamous for forgery of certificates, land documents, tax clearance, visa signatures, and more. You know, it's a forger's haven in Lagos city center, and is used to secure a teaching job at, you know. So it's in a 3-month undercover investigation, the Daily Trust obtained fake certificates. It's actually an investigative, you know, story here, and you can read more about it in page 8 of the Weekend Trust. Delegates walk out of Netanyahu at the UN gathering. Onga. Well, you can find this on page 33. Beside it is 2027, Jonathan's heart in the ring. You can find this in page 7 of the Weekend Trust. Right above the front page is bandits gunned down worshippers at Zamfara Mosque. This sad event still baffles me. You know, how can you just come into a mosque and just gun down people? What's the reason? You know, a worship place. We've had this has happened somewhere last month or last 2 months in Katsina, and honestly nothing was done about it, and this is happening again in Zamfara. We just hope this will come to an end real soon. Sahad built from my savings as a messenger, said the owner of Sahad stores. You know, you can read more about this interview in this news on page 15 of the Weekend Trust. Dangote Group sacks workers. Well, a lot is going on between the Dangote and Pengasin. You know, this is in page 16 of the Weekend Trust. You can read more about it. It said the road between Dangote Petroleum Refinery and the Oil Workers Union has taken a new turn following the alleged mass sack of Nigerians working in the facilities. You know, the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengasin, has condemned the sack of some of its members. It's still under the headlines that says Dangote sacks workers as crisis with union deepens. You know, there's a lot going on with Pengasin and the Dangote refinery right now, and Pengasin, in a statement signed by its General Secretary, Comrade Lumumba Okubawa, has called for the reinstatement of the sacked workers. This is according to the Weekend Trust. The union alleged that the sacked workers were replaced with over 2,000 foreign nationals, mostly Indians, many of whom it claimed do not possess valid immigration papers. Well, how will they know that they do not really possess the immigration papers and what have you? Well, you can read this. More of this is actually a very interesting story. Like I said, like many things, like a lot is going on between Dangote and Pengasin, and you can find this in page 16 of the Daily Trust. Well, that is the much that there is in the front page of the Weekend Trust today. And to the Guardian newspaper now, front page of the Guardians. The Guardian newspaper is Nigeria at 65. Tears of children leaders can't ignore. Well, this should be a very interesting read, you know. Tears of children leaders can ignore. But in Nigerians, we have lots of children crying, like just saying. Well, you can find this on page 26 to 27 of the Guardian newspaper today. I am happy to witness history, Tinubu declares as Ladoja ascends Olubadan throne. Well, this is you can find this on news page 2 of The Guardian. You know, Olubadan and Ladoja, that's the former governor of Oyo State, was declared as the king of Olubadan of the Ibadan kingdom, you know. And it's still part of our virus stories, so we still get to that. Well, we can find this, like I said, in news page 2. Alleged terrorism, you have case to answer, court tells Nnamdi Kanu. Well, this is also in page 2 of The Guardian. There a lot of things are just going on in the Nigerians in this country right now. Hunger at the Shatima UN chief meet over Nigeria's Security Council bid UNDP partnership. This happened in the UN gathering. Well, to read more about this, you find it on page 3 of The Guardian. Dangote Refinery refutes alleged sack of workers over unionism. Coalition backs company rejects Tupperman's 1.5 trillion naira subsidy push. This is on page 3 of The Guardian. We just talked about Dangote's refinery with the Pengasin issue, and well, this is an updated one. Dangote Refinery refutes the alleged sack of workers. They said over 3,000 workers are still with them. They didn't really sack them. Well, if you want to read more about it, go to page 3. Ade Bulugbe, Scholars Unique Investment for Nigeria at 65. This is an inside story and is on the back page of The Guardian. New NDLEA sniffer dog facility will boost fight against illicit drugs in Nigeria, says Marwa. Well, you know, lots of drug abuse going on, especially within the youth of the Nigerian youth right now. It's just so sad, you know. A Nigerian youth that have a very bright future, you know, reducing his future to nothing, you know, destroying his own life by taking hard drugs like illicit drugs and drugs abuse and what have you. Well, this is in the back page, the news page 2 of The Guardian. Right at the top of the front page of The Guardian is World Tourism Day. Why Nigeria's rich tourism attractions fail to drive national growth. Well, this is actually a very good, you know, future, and you can get it in pages 8 to 9. You can read it there, because one tends, like, Nigeria is very rich. Nigeria is a very rich country. We have everything it takes to be the world class, you know, but things keep holding back. The tourism, you cannot, the tourism, you know, aspect of Nigeria is really in shambles. So this is the Minister for Culture saying, like, she's trying to tell us why Nigeria's rich tourism attractions fail to drive national growth. It's in page 8 to 9 of The Guardian. Mbane for Nwagu deepen diasporic heritage with beatification of Gulagechi ancestors. This is arts, page 15 of The Guardian weekend, and this is the march that there is in The Guardian newspaper. Up next is we go to the Vanguard. Boldly written there is, I lost everything before my foreign partners, says Magnus Ike. We chose peace, not violence, Chief Eric. Traders allege selective exercise, says complex is federal land. Lagos defense action in page 6. You know, the first, I lost everything before my foreign partners in a trade fair demolition. You know, Nigerian businesses are really thriving, and we have the trade fairs, right? And right now, there are lots of business owners that have gone beyond the nation. They're having trade fairs in the diaspora, and well, this is a very sad one because she lost everything. You know, you can read this in page 12 of Saturday Vanguard. Nigeria's economy at 65, how we missed the boat. You know, at 65, you know, Nigerians should be able to afford lots of basic amenities, because at 65 we've come a long way since independence, you know. But it's just so sad to see that the economy is still dwindling. We're still like fighting to get the barest minimum. Yeah, the barest minimum. Electricity is should be a barest minimum in the country, you know. We should have a very good medical facility and good education. You know, the educational sector should be like very smooth right now, but it's just so sad to see that we are still hooked, you know. We are still there. Well, this is in page 9 of the Saturday Vanguard. You know, you like to read how we missed the boat, you know. It'll be a good read. Burna Boy raises dust over Fela. This is in page 18 of the Vanguard. Nigerians have lost confidence in electoral process. Page 11, Itoto Yaga Africa Post. It's in page 11, like I mentioned. You have case to answer, court tells Nnamdi Kanu. Well, this unending court cases with Nnamdi Kanu. Well, you can read this in page 5, because honestly, this has been going on for a very long time right now. Well, if you want to read an update, it's right in page 5 of the Saturday Vanguard. Right at the top is role of kings, not only to wear beads, acquire women. Ladoja says as he is crowned 44th Olubadan. This is a new dawn in Ibadan land. Tinubu to Nigerians, your sovereign has yielded progress growth. All these is in page 5, you know. Like I mentioned earlier, Ladoja was crowned the king of Ibadan Kingdom, and this is his first speech after being crowned. So role of kings is not only to wear beads and acquire women. Well, seems Ladoja is going to bring lots of development. He was really the former governor of Oyo State, so we expect much for him, you know, the people of Ibadan Kingdom. Well, you can find this on page 5. Fubara dissolves pension board constituted by Ibas. I mean, it's expected, you know. No governor will want to work with people that are not his people, you know. And he just came back last week after the whole commotion and everything, after the military regime took over for 6 months by the and placed administrator Ibas. Well, you can find this on page 4 of the Saturday Vanguard. And this is the much that there is in the Saturday Vanguard this morning, like the newspaper for today. We go to, then the next is Tribune. And boldly written in Saturday Tribune is Dangote Refinery, Pengasen clash over sack of workers. Union alleges plan to replace Nigerians with Indians. Company denies mass sack report, says over 3,000 Nigerians still at work. We, like I said, a lot is going on. You know, the Pengasen wanted the people to register, Dangote's people in the refinery to register in their association, and it was alleged that it was reported that Dangote fires them, and the Pengasen came back. You know, it's a back and forth something, and the Dangote now in an updated one says they didn't really sack the workers. Well, you can read all about this in page 4 of the Saturday Tribune. Right at the top is new INEC chairman must not be partisan, says EDC. Well, a lot is going to happen in 2027. It's already unfolding bit by bit right now. Well, to read about more of this headline, you go to page 25 of Tribune. Tinubu says hardship will soon be the thing of the past. This is such a refreshing one to read, you know. At least, you know, we should just have hope that Nigeria is going to get better very soon. Well, the president himself has said it, you know. Let's just hold on to that. Let's hold on to that, you know. You can find this on page 3 of Tribune. I will serve Ibadan with all my might, says Obala Doja. Thanks MKO Abiola Adedibu for their assistance. Makinde says all crises over. You can find this in page 3 of Tribune. Well, there's no much headlines in the Tribune this morning, but that's all we have for the Tribune front page. Then the last newspaper to review is the Punch, the Saturday Punch. Pengassan threatens to picket Dangote refinery. Group summons emergency meeting, says 800 workers fired. Exercise not arbitrary. Saboteur targeted, says Dangote. We're still talking about the sacked workers. You know, you can find this on page 4. The thing is, you have lots of options from all the national dailies today. You can just to know everything about the issues surrounding Pengassan and Dangote's refinery. You can just get any of your national dailies, but well, and this particular headline is in your Saturday Punch. Why my brother, his wife, 3 children were poisoned to death, says sibling. This is such a very sad one, actually. A man, his wife, and 3 children were poisoned to death. Wow. To read about this, you find it in page 2 of the Punch. Suck and die, deadly cheap drug turning youngsters into zombies. I just talked about the drug abuse. It's just so worrisome at this point, because it's getting more terrible by the day. There's another one, they call it suck and die, and from the name alone, it's already so it's a very dangerous phrase right here, like suck and die, and you still suck it. And this is the name, suck and die. They just tell you that they told you to suck and die, and you still take it. That's such a terrible one, honestly. Yeah, to read more about these cheap drugs and what is turning youngsters into, you can find this in page 20 and 21 of the Punch. Police removed me from my abusive marriage. Victoria Inyama, domestic abuse has really turned to the order of the day. Well, to read more about the actress, I think it's an interview, you go to page 25 of the Punch. And that is the much that there is in the Punch, and that is really the much we can take in the review of our national dailies today. Lots of things are really happening, like I said, from the Pengassan to Dangote issue, to the domestic abuse, to the president himself telling us that Nigeria is going to get better, to the coronation of Ladoja. Well, make sure you grab yourself a copy of one of the national dailies today, and all interesting headlines there. Well, this is the much that there is in the newspaper review this morning. Let's go on a short break, and when we return, we're going to open our phone lines to discuss about the peace deal, whether it's a solution or it's it's a disaster. Do stay with us.